Today will be a really short video on my thoughts of the GFX100 after 2 years of owning this. I'm Richard, welcome to Zappy Productions, and this is my copy of the GFX100. I owned it since July 2019 when it was launched. And before we start, let's take a look at some of the images I shot with this camera first. Now, as you can see, I'm a portrait photographer. I shoot extensively with the GFX100 for portraits. I kind of did like maybe 50 or maybe 80 or 90 shoots with this camera so far. So I kind of know the ins and outs of this camera. Most of my thoughts have already been shared earlier. I have one of the review videos and also one that talks about owning the camera after a year. And those still kind of stand today. It's just that for now that I own, the A1, the R5, and I own a lot of these modern lenses, some of the advantages that the GFX100 system, the GFX system itself has, is no longer as good, or should I say as strong of a reason itself, such as the lens. Modern Sony lenses, Sigma lenses, or Canon lenses are quite close to GFX lenses, so you cannot say that lens is the best on the GFX100 anymore. It is still the best, such as the 110. I feel the 63 is fantastic. But you could actually get a 51.2 on Sony, which is fantastic, or the 85 1.2 on Canon, that is fantastic also. So no longer is optics itself the only determining factor, because between the systems, all of them do have their own peak performance lens. So it comes down to the body itself. Now, the GFX100 body, I will not waste anybody's time. I will say to you that, firstly, in terms of image quality, it is still the best you can get in the market without spending 60,000 Sing dollars or about 45,000 USD. It is the best in the market. Let's not waste our time. However, the performance of the camera as a photography equipment, as a way to capture images, is just not the best. It's not as responsive. Even on off the camera takes a little bit of time. Pressing reviews takes a little bit of time. Changing settings takes a little bit of time. Moving the AF around takes a little bit of time. Autofocus is just not that quick. Latency of the viewfinder is a little bit slower than the R5 and A1. In fact, I have the whole comparison between R5 and A1 latency here, so you can take a look at what I mean by latency. The GFX100 is just not as good. It doesn't stop you from capturing good images still. When I'm saying it's not as good, it just means that it's not as great as today's flagship like the A1 I have here. But it's definitely more than competent enough to capture most of you guys' shots. Most of the shots in this world can be easily captured by the GFX100. It's not that hard. But that being said, if I'm out there in an uncontrolled situation, such as, let's say, weddings or outdoor photography, outdoor portraiture photography without the whole crew and equipment with me, I would say the GFX100 is just not as convenient. The convenience of the A1 and the R5 is just so much better. It's faster, quicker, and snappier. You can just easily see the moment and capture the moment very easily. And really, photography is about capturing the moment. That really one particular smile on the subject's face, or the one particular spin on the subject's clothes or hair or anything that's flying at that point in time. The GFX100 is just not quick enough at those period of time. It's not that it's slow, but it's just when you want it to just capture that particular moment, that is very fleeting. It may have moved off by the time you can press the shutter on the GFX100 and capture the shot itself. So that is, I feel, the biggest disadvantage of the GFX100. If you are planning a shot, everything is predictable. The GFX100 will produce you the best image quality. But if not, the R5A1 will be pretty much close enough. But they will ensure you to capture that moment because they are so fast and responsive itself. And also, I think in the past 1 over year, with the situation, the pandemic around the world, I think digital copies are much more prevalent. Most people are sharing information and images and stuff more than it was in the past on social media and and stuff itself, because there's not many physical conventions, not many physical events now, or people don't really want to print and stuff because the means of sharing things now are more digital than ever. As such, the 100 megapixel from the GFX100 probably don't make much difference in the internet world, but it does make a lot of difference to the photographer. As the person who edits the photo, you will know that the GFX100 photos are fantastic to deal with. There are so much detail, so much information, so much resolution, so much color in it that you can push way beyond the A1 and R5. When you do 5 stops recovery with the GFX100, you'll get 5 stops of information. You'll get all the shadow information out. And with the recent firmware that fixed the bending issue, that is now very possible with the GFX100. But that said, the GFX100 is more suitable for people who deal with a lot of planned photo shoots inside very controlled environment, but they are not really useful for people who want to do impromptu stuff. So as such, I don't feel that this is an all-rounder camera and really cannot recommend this to most people out there. Unless image quality is everything. I mean, if you're doing landscape, product, doing portraiture that the people don't move too much, the GFX100 is fantastic. If you ask me today, which is the camera I recommend you, I think that the Canon R5 is just nice, the in-between. And if you want the best performance out in the field, lowest latency, then the A1 is better. But, I still will stand to my point that the GFX100 still will produce you the best image quality you can ever get, as long as it's a controlled environment. As long as you can predict what's going to happen. The GFX100 will shine and you will be able to taste the greatness of the photos coming out of this camera here. Now that said, GFX100 and GFX100S, 2 years, the GFX100S came out really recently. I'll tell you that the GFX100 is a lot nicer to use than the 100S. The buttons, the ergonomics on the 100 is slightly better, especially with the tilt viewfinder, the tilt LCD, the vertical grip. The GFX100 is just a lot more pleasant of a camera to use. But is that pleasant usability worth 3,000 USD or 5,000 Sing dollars? Personally, I really think that if you're going to spend the money on a GFX series, you should spend a little bit more. Either spend a little bit more, buy a second-hand GFX100, or really go all the way and buy the GFX100 over the 100S. My personal thoughts is that 100S is great if that's your second camera, that's a camera that you want image quality and nothing else. But if you really want to enjoy photography, the 100S isn't as enjoyable to me as the 100 itself. And personally, I will recommend to find a second-hand GFX100 than to buy a GFX100S. That's my thought process. I mean, I tested it before, and I still think that GFX100 is a better choice if you can get it second-hand at the same price or slightly higher than GFX100S. The GFX100 is a better camera all around. And in my final thoughts, do I regret getting the GFX100? Probably no. The GFX100 still produced me some of the nicest photos I ever got so far. I can't really regret all the photos that I showed you guys earlier. I made some money out of it. I produced some great photos. And I think the GFX100 will probably stay with me for many years to come. Because, even the A7R4, yes, it has 62 megapixels. It just doesn't feel the same as the GFX100 in any ways, especially when you do 5-stop shadow recovery. So the GFX100 will still be my mainstay camera if I'm going to do shoots in controlled environments. And anything else, I'll probably use R5A1. And for what I'm interested today, there's a 50-50. And I'll honestly tell you that if I was to shoot clients, I was to use a camera for a job, I'll probably use the R5 or A1 rather than GFX100. Unless the job requires very high resolution and very static poses, then maybe yes, I'll use the GFX100 in those cases. But if not, I think the R5A1 will generate better outcomes without the 100 megapixel pen, and to the clients, they'll be happy. They'll get the shots they want, they get the moments they want, and it's a lot easier to deal with. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this short little thoughts on the GFX100 after 2 years. I think it's a fantastic camera still, but it's definitely not for everybody. Bye bye.